It's about to go down. It's about to go down. That's the pre-shuffle message. What's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and it is Monday, June 29th, 2026, 1:04 on the clock. And we are on the threshold of a full moon in Capricorn, which is why I believe the pre-shuffle message is exactly that. Now, what I saw is that it's about to go down on two sides of the spectrum. What I saw was that everything that was projected onto you, that was energy that was sent to you from an adverse source, an oppositional force, it's like somebody's just constantly playing the Uno reverse card right now. Everything is going back. Everything back, 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 reverse, reverse, reverse. And it probably has nothing to do with you proactively or offensively, I should say, but reactively, what I saw is that there was something that you did protectively for yourself, that is what ultimately enacted this shield of this like ricochet shield of sorts. And so there's that. It's about to go down for those that thought they was going to play around with these elements and transits, particularly over the past few months. And this was supposed to be a big one, like the big finish, so to speak. But from what I perceive, it ain't going down the way that it was intended to. It's going down another way, but not that way. And then on the other side, it's like everything that was withheld from you, stolen, taken, delayed, denied, all of that is being reversed, siphoned, manipulated, everything that you can think of that may have been usurped from your auric field, maybe even from your actual possession, unjustifiably, of course, is also playing the Uno reverse card at this time. So it's literally like when you playing ghetto Uno and it's like stack season pile-ups, if you know, you know. It's like that, like a serious, intense game of an unconventional match of sorts or round of sorts that, it's like boom, 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 boom. This goes back, reverse this back, this goes back to you, draw 2, draw 4, stacks of number 4s and pile ups of 3s and so on and so forth. Like, it's about to go down. It's about to go down. From what I could see, it already is going down. So we'll start there as far as the message is concerned, and see where it takes us. All right, let me shuffle. Yeah, so, maintain your composure, and as I'm saying that, that's probably one of the responsive effects or stances that you took was composure. No matter what energy tried to provoke you out of character or provoke you to respond in a way that would be impactful to your frequency, like your organic frequency, somehow you were able to maintain balance. to maintain equilibrium, to stay in trust, and that is the encouragement, you know, as we're just embarking on the moon now. You know, I can't say, you know, these energies are relentless. So who knows, you know, what they think they're cooking up, or what's already been projected that can't be. Oh, I just got that hit. So I was saying, like, somebody's trying to play the Uno reverse card. There might be a frantic effort to reverse energy that was projected, with the realization that it's only ultimately going to come back to sender anyway. But we all know that's not how the universe works. So once you put it out there, it's a done deal. And so I just got that hit in real time, that there might be an intention of want to take, you know, to reverse, but it's like no take backsies. You know, you kind of just have to ride that wave of whatever you sent out in true justice and Six of Pentacles form. And, you know, govern yourself accordingly, you know what I mean? And for those that are in alignment to receive more of a high vibrational return on energy, it's on account of good intentions that were, like I said, maintaining a certain decorum and composure no matter what you encountered, and devotion to integrity and good intentions projected no matter what, like even against those that you feel are coming at you. Like, you didn't allow yourself to be lowered to the frequency of rage or hate or vengeance or even unforgiveness for too long before, you know, you allowed it to absorb in your spirit, before you transmuted it from absorbing into your spirit. So it's like there's the same effect for that consistency, where what you put out is also coming back to you. And I just heard press down, shaken over, and run. What's that scripture? Press down, shaken, and running over. Yeah, like an abundance of a return, like with interest is what I'm getting. And the same goes for the other side, where you might think it would just come back like, oh, I just sent out chaos, so I can brace myself for that. But the magnitude of the chaos that you sent might actually be amplified times whatever the divine interest has in mind. You know what I mean? So you can't even be too sure that you're only getting back what you sent out. 9 times out of 10 on either side of the scales, it's going to be with interest and at a greater magnitude. Now, if you're on the good news side of those things, you know, oh, happy day. But on the other end, it's like brace for impact, because you have no idea how it's coming back. It's also coming through pressed down, shaken, and running over. But it ain't going to be in the type of abundance that one would be excited to receive. So, all right, let's see what we got here. That cup's a little shaky, yeah, and that people might be feeling remorseful and apologetic now, you know, conditionally, not, I wouldn't say altogether sincerely, because Page of Cups, it could go either way. But let's see what else we got. They at least feel quite sensitive and vulnerable, I would say, if nothing else. Oh, the Emperor And the Fool card. Interesting. I hardly be seeing the Emperor these days. Alright. So the Emperor is embarking on a new beginning of what exactly? Because the Fool is headed toward this away, which again is this remorse or regret. Perhaps. I guess it doesn't have to be that. Let me see what else. Let me see what's between the Page of Cups and the Emperor. Oh, well. Oh, this is way too much, but let's just say. Oh, okay. Well, we got the Five of Swords, that an attack that, yeah, this is definitely giving way that, so like I said, somebody put their back into it. They pulled out the big guns, but there was a stronger resistance that was, what's the right word? On guard. A stronger resistance was on guard that pretty much made this this attempt futile. Literally, and that's the reason for the apologetics and the regret. But like I said, it's a Page of Cups, so probably not so much that there is actually you know, some point of what's the right word, like coming to terms with what you did or what you've caused or the choices that you made. It's just now seeing the game play out, so to speak, or the, you know, the round commence, and you know, it's like going in an Uno game where you, I mean, you know, with Uno, it could go either way at any time. Like you could mess around and have Uno and then your card not come up, and then somebody hit you with a draw 4 and then you down bad again, you know. But it's like somebody holding 10 cards in their hand and the other person has a Uno, and what they don't know, but maybe what they surmise, is that it's a wild draw 4 or just a wild, you know, a wild card, which ultimately is a winning card no matter. Well, that's not true. Unless you're playing, like I said, stack season pile-ups. Like say it's a wild draw 4 and the person puts down a wild draw 4 because they got 10 cards, so they might just have that. You could also put down your draw 4 to stack on top of that, because that's how we play in the ghetto. And you'll be out, you know. But anyway, it's like, given that the fate and fortune is stacked, the odds are better on one side of this game or this match than the outlook that someone has for themselves. Like I said, anything could happen, of course, but it's not looking good. And somebody that can see that, can perceive that, is like, damn, now they want to resort to apologies and humbling themselves, or maybe even just feeling sorry for themselves or whatever, or even I feel like blame shifting, you know, starting to point the fingers, like it wasn't me, it was this, it was that, making excuses and stuff like that. I don't know. Let me see. Let me get one again with this Page of Cups. Yeah, wanted to plead their innocence is what I'm hearing. Six of Wands, saw that in the pre-shuffle a couple times. Yeah, somebody's winning. Oh, well, we don't want to talk now. We don't got nothing to say. So yeah, it could be somebody just quietly feeling sorry for themselves at this point, or, you know, feeling regretful about some type of connection lost, or a connection that was put in jeopardy, a contract maybe even, or some type of agreement, a soulmate that was lost. Let me see. Knight of Swords. Yeah, but they don't have anybody to blame but themselves. Ten of Swords, exactly. This is a self-inflicted loss and wound. That's why they can't really say but so much to make excuses, or even, it's like somebody wanted to apologize, but it's like, for what at this point? With the Emperor here, this is somebody too grown not to know better. If this is the same energy, which I feel it is, somebody was expected to have more self-control and consideration for the way that their energy, maybe even their power and position could influence things for the best and for the worst. And the reason why I'm veering more on the lower vibrational end of this is because we started with the Page of Cups. And you would expect an Emperor, if this is an expression of love or even admiration, to lead with something a bit stronger than a Page of Cups. I don't know. I could be seeing this wrong, but that's what I'm sensing. Because I know, you know, on site with the cards, everything is upright. You know, it's the Two of Cups here. Yeah, two people on the same page, right? But are they, or were they ever, is the question. Because what's this Fool about? Why is an Emperor having to start over or start from scratch? That signifies some type of loss to me. The Two of Cups could even be friendship. It doesn't have to be romantic. With the King of Pentacles. Yeah, that's either the Emperor losing their position to someone else, where they had a great deal, like I said, of authority, influence, leverage. They could have been the top choice, but on account of a mismanagement of power, or even abuse of power, they lost their position. And here is the replacement, I guess, so to speak. So like when I'm seeing this, I keep hearing what do they say, the male loneliness epidemic. I've seen people talk about that in the social media streets and whatnot. And that's what it's given, like somebody starting on this journey of solitude, you know, and feeling, let's say, melancholy about it, if not sorrowful, like at least melancholy or sentimental, or feeling vulnerable in that solitude, perhaps because they're not used to being alone, or they, like I said, there was a partnership here, or there was camaraderie or connection that at least to some degree was nurturing and fulfilling, that is not so accessible anymore. And again, if it's not an Emperor losing their spot to another man, like literally a contract being breached, and now someone else is coming in to kind of pick up where they left off, I guess. Then it's like someone having been demoted in some way in power and influence to go from the Knight to the King of Pentacles, maybe where all they have left is their materials, you know. Let me see. Let's go back up next to the Fool. And finding out that, or somebody that could have prioritized material gain and wealth and affluence over love and over partnerships and commitment, and now realizing that that's not quite as fulfilling as they always thought it was, or thought it would be once they attained it, whichever one. It's like there's something missing here. There's like a void. That can't be filled with material things. Look at this. And look, the Fool is going away from the Queen of Cups in this instance. Yeah, somebody lost love. Or they didn't prioritize it, and so, or didn't treat it well, or, you know, value it well. And yeah, that's what it's giving. Let me see one more between those two. And the Queen of Cups is the ultimate love interest as far as the queens are concerned. It's literally like somebody had a soulmate, or it was soulmate. Oh man, jeez. Look, the Star card. It's a soulmate. And it's literally giving like somebody that either was loved and lost, or loved and lost to lesser things, is pretty much going to have to sit and watch the love that they had access to, that they were like pretty much a shoo-in for. You know what I mean? Like somebody, they're gonna have to watch that person prosper in some other dynamic that they're not a part of. And with the Star and the Queen of Cups, it's like someone may have known to some degree what they had, but they still prioritized other things above it, or above them, above the partner or the relationship overall. And now, of course, as it goes, you don't know what you got until it's gone. It's like somebody knew what they had, but they always felt like, you know, I'm getting like a sense of entitlement to maintaining it, like as the Emperor. You know, like, you can't get no better than me. You know, you just a Queen of Cups. I'm the Emperor. Like, I'm the best you can do. Or someone that regarded themselves quite highly, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they didn't project that same appreciation and reverence reciprocal, you know, to the partner that they were with, and show that appreciation or express that appreciation in a way that was mutually sustainable and satisfying for the relationship. And now that they may have lost, it's like they're realizing that this is a one of one chance of a life, love of a lifetime. You don't just, even with you having a high status and maybe even being, a king of pentacles and having a lot of wealth and things to show for your success, power, influence, so on and so forth, position, whatever, is still, and you may have access to multiple options, but it still may never compare or come close to what you had at its finest. And that it doesn't even have to be like aesthetically or superficially. It's something about the love here, the pure sincerity of the love that was, clearly available in abundance or in exuberance from the Queen of Cups to the Star. Like, she's pouring out someone that was extremely emotionally available, maybe even intelligent, expressive, understanding, compassionate, patient, so many wonderful qualities for a love interest or an object of affection to possess, that someone may have taken for granted, and now they may be back out on the market or not, like I said, choosing not to be at all, or seeing very little hope for what's out there because what they've encountered so far is of no comparison. And that could be the source of the melancholy or the regret, the remorse, the sadness, perhaps. And knowing that there's nothing that can be done at this point. Like, somebody's on a new journey, a new trajectory. Maybe both parties are at this point. There is, like I said, there's no takesy backsies or whatever, like there's no do-over at this point. You're only going to get back what you gave, and some that get back for someone that didn't appreciate the love that they had in their life could be an absence of it, or some gravely depreciated experience of it, or like I said before, not just what they gave, which was again a lack of appreciation and reverence, maybe even respect, but even worse, to be encountering people that are only after your money, that are only interested in what you can do for them, or that have a conditional love meter, even after investing time and interest, is still like something insincere about it, or just off and not fluid, and something you feel like you can't trust yourself in, or you don't feel secure in. Like, those are the things that are a reversal for someone that had great love and affection at their fingertips and mismanaged it, let alone abused it. I don't see any evidence for that, but all right, what's after the Queen of Cups? The Nine of Cups. If somebody's off feeling quite contented with themselves, their decision, their choice, either to be single and because it could even be a matter of watching somebody embark upon their single journey and they're quite content. Whereas an emperor might have felt like, oh, they need me, they'll be back, or they'll always let me in, or I'm still always the premium choice or whatever, and may have taken it lightly, or what's the word, underestimated someone's independence, their satisfaction in being single or being by themselves, and not necessarily desiring to be connected to anything or anyone at all except for themselves, and pouring back into them, which is usually the best course of action to take after some disappointment in a relationship, especially in love. And that could even be a shock to someone's senses, to observe someone actually happy to be alone and maybe even thriving more by themselves than they actually were with them. That's a blow to the ego. Yeah, somebody's definitely been cut down a peg or two, or three in this case, from what they thought they were and what value they assigned to themselves as what we used to call them, a high, not high quality. What was Samuel? What's his name? That's a shame. I can't remember the man's name. Samuel something or something Samuel. His term, his phrase that everybody was saying for a while. High quality or high something partner. You know, it could be those energies taking a little bit of a hit, realizing that, you know, it's not about, yeah, it's cool that you have all these things to bring to the table and things to offer, but that doesn't account for organic self-esteem, and certainly not for supreme self-esteem. Because if you have to boost your ego on all of those things, then it really is fleeting anyway. It's faulty anyway. And so it could actually be like some people that operate on that frequency being humbled to realize that they may actually have some work to do themselves, you know, or that there might be more to be desired as far as they're concerned as a prominent partner. And that will be a surprise to them based on all, you know, the Kool-Aid they were drinking from themselves and from what society was filling up, you know. Ooh, yeah, look at this. Like Queen of Pentacles, she go, I got my own money. I'm good. Yeah, somebody is so, like, once upon a time, it might have been a, oh, she'll be back situation, or it would have been easier to persuade or entice, but somebody's way too comfortable in their personal independence and in their healing and their peace, their solitude, their that it's like somebody that has gotten way too comfortable in their independence to sacrifice it for someone or something that could disrupt that at this point. Even if there was a lot of love there, could have been history, could have even been a contract or commitment like a marriage or something like that, or a long-term relationship or deeply committed relationship. Once somebody finally found their own footing, it was like, nah, I can't. I can't go back. They can't go back. They can't even fathom being confined to certain emotional discomforts anymore, and perhaps even being creating some type of dependency financially because someone was an emperor, is an emperor, has a lot of authority or resources. And so it's like, even that, the security of it all, financially particularly, is not high value. That was a term, high value man, is not enough. It's not enough. In the words of Kendrick. Not unless the situation is proven to be ideal, you know, that's proven to be balanced. And look at this, I'm not even really getting into this. Like I said, it's like somebody's going to have to watch someone get into, and it might even, like, the arrogance of this emperor, which is why I feel like it's a humbling experience, is that to them it might be somebody that's a lesser man than them. Like, oh, his net worth is only this much, or he doesn't even have this, or he can't provide for you like I can, or he's not um esteemed or established in the same way, you know, that an emperor can stack up his achievements, like match up his achievements. It might be a difference, but it's a better match for someone that is secure and stable in their own right, that is emotionally available and capable of maintaining a balanced and harmonious commitment that prioritizes healing, because the star is between the two of them. You know, it's like this is a couple that can really thrive together as a unit and individually, and it not just be like, oh, I'm the emperor, and like, you know, submit to me and depend on me, and that boosts his ego, but he's not really willing to pour back in, or doesn't even see the value in doing so in certain ways. You know, like there's an imbalance there. So literally it's like someone having to watch what they think is a lesser man take their place, and do a better job at it. ultimately watching somebody thrive as a person on account of being in a partnership that is more balanced than what they had to offer is going to be a huge blow to the ego. And as an emperor, they might, you know, like I said, they might suppress that emotional response. They certainly may not express it, but it will be felt. Oh yes, it will be felt. Look at this, 7 of Swords. And it could be some hateration projected toward it as well. Like, and it's all the way over here, so it's like secret hateration or secret shade or whatever that could be thrown toward this dynamic, or even I mean, I don't know what length someone may go to on account of being salty, or that they already have gone to, but it will only contribute to more of the loneliness that they experience, or a deepening of that loneliness the more that they persist. Oh, yeah, look at this. And a struggle, because the past is over. There's nothing sentimental, nostalgic. There's no, I mean, and there may be, but not strong enough for it to matter. And it's like a cycle, a season for a particular partnership is just, it's over. There's nothing to salvage. And it's like a distant memory even for someone that has either found peace in their own solitude or peace with someone else. You know, it's like this even the sentimentality of a past relationship pales in comparison to something new and fresh that is stable and balanced. Like, you could, even if you thought fondly of an old partnership at its best, it still wouldn't, in this case, forge enough of an attachment or a cord to keep someone wanting it back, you know, or even feeling sorry that it's over, honestly. That's what I'm getting. Like, somebody wishes to project the sorrow and melancholy and remorse onto someone else that they are feeling. Oh, that's the reversal. They want someone to feel what they're feeling at the very least, even if they're too prideful to even express how they're feeling, or to, to even try to rectify, what went awry here. It would at least be satisfied to know that either someone mourns the relationship just as much as they do secretly, or that someone does feel like they've settled in a way where they also feel like they'll never have the emperor, or that they don't have the emperor that they once had in their ex or their partner. And mind you, a lot of this ex stuff is coming up in the past and all that, because today Mercury does station retrograde in Cancer. So there's that. And I'm not 100% sure for how long, but today is the day, alongside this full moon in Capricorn. So get into that. That's the mother and the father, and karma, and talking about matters of your personal security, whether that be home or your sense of self, emotional intelligence and security and all that. So this tracks, it definitely does. But yeah, it's like somebody wants to at least be able to look in and check in on you and see how miserable you are. But every time they check in, all they see is that you're thriving in your independence, or you're primed ready for a balanced commitment, you looking like a catch, or you're already in one that's thriving, whereas it's evident that it's a productive partnership. And there's just like nothing anyone, this energy, can even project to you to feel any bit of sorrow or regret, remorse. It's like release, total release is what it's given. And maybe once upon a time, someone could at least keep the cord attached of nostalgia and sentiment for the past. Or even just like the wishful and hopeful thinking that something would change, like holding out for there to be a balance or harmony, because like I said, with the Queen of Cups, they can be quite patient and compassionate and empathetic and so on and so forth. And not only is that void completely gaping open at this time, they can't even find anything or anyone to fill it. They might even be lying to themselves about your the truth of, your presence. Like, oh, she ain't happy, that's just a front, or she really wishes things could be different, or she really still wants me, that's just putting on a show, or just putting on air. So whatever, they could be telling themselves that, they could be telling other people that, they could be talking shit on the relationship to others to depreciate it for what others can possibly see, all of that, but ultimately just to really put a band-aid on a gaping wound that they don't have the courage to truly heal just yet, or at least the inspiration to heal just yet on their own. Like this is an invitation for somebody to go within and consider where things may have gone wrong, where they could have done something differently, what they could change within themselves to maybe attract a better partnership toward them, if that's what they're even in the market for, and all of that. But instead, they're just perpetuating that lower frequency that, again, is only going to keep attracting more of the same. and cycling them back into this feeling of feeling sorry for themselves, or maybe even that turning into anger and resentment and whatever else, but everything except for taking a look inside. Until, of course, they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and that usually is the inspiration, but who knows when that'll be. All right, let me get about 2 more on this board and then we'll be done. What they looking back at the 7 of Swords, or trying to run away from. Oh, internal conflict. Themselves. I'm trying to move these over a bit. Yep, facing their own internal conflict. That's what I say. Because as I said in the beginning, it's like somebody only had themselves to blame. I mean, how you fumble a Queen of Cups star that was already on 3 of Cups type, 2 of Cups type time, 6 of Cups origin, someone that you shared a deep connection with naturally, or at least circumstantially, that had also had the potential to be the Queen of Pentacles if she wasn't already. Hell, if you would have allowed her to be, or given her, you know, the opportunity to curate her independence aside from you, you know, because it's the type of energy that wouldn't really want their woman to be but so independent, but then would probably complain about it. You know, like they want a housewife or someone that's ultra submissive and comes to them for everything, but then they don't want to give up no money, or they don't want to, you know, I don't know. That could be very specific, but that's the energy I'm getting. Like they want a certain type of woman, but then they would complain about that certain type of woman, or still not be satisfied with that certain type of woman, because it's really a dissatisfaction with themselves. They need to be intentional to pursue this 9 of Cups energy, cultivating esteem from a soul level, a spiritual level, as opposed to a material one. And that's much easier said than done, especially when you got it. And in the world that we live in, people treat you according to what you do have materially, or what position you hold, what influence you have, what power you wield. You do get certain treatments based on those things initially, but it might not have a lot of depth or sincerity. It might be quite fair weather, or just in your face but not behind your back, you know, like, and all of those things, when you strip it all down, it matters, you know, what you're truly left with. And maybe that's why I'm saying, like, the King of Pentacles is what he's left with at the end of the day, just all his stuff, but at this point not really a lot more than that to show for it. He don't have a girl, he doesn't have the love. This is somebody that would probably have a beautiful woman, you know, or a really dedicated, loving woman in their corner. And they kind of, you know, that whether they realize it or not, that's kind of a part of their appeal too, you know. And now that they don't have that light to hide behind, or to project their shadow from, it's like, damn, it's just me out here, huh? And they realize that their appeal is really not all that great without that better, literally without their better half. It's literally given like somebody thought that they were the prize, and that anybody should be grateful to have their attention, or be in their presence, or have their commitment, regardless of how half-assed or unreciprocal it might be, it still was more of a privilege than not having. Then they realized in no uncertain terms that it was actually quite the opposite. So imagine the blow to the ego to come into realization of all of that while still incurring a great loss and having to watch somebody else gain what you squandered, pretty much. One more. It ain't no telling what this person could be provoked to do. Yeah, it's like Seven of Pentacles here. It was a lot of time and energy invested. And like I said, now they have nothing to show for it. And like I said, now they're about to see someone else magnify and multiply the investment that they had at their fingertips, and they'll be able to see firsthand just how much security and longevity they really did have at their disposal. You know, like I said, it'll just be evident of just how much potential there truly was if they could have been different, or if they could have, yeah, just pretty much that. Yeah, like they could have been different. And that's going to eat somebody up, because it's going to make them keep, until they can cycle out of it to move forward and start the healing process or self-discovery or whatever process, is going to eat somebody up to continue to reflect on where they lost, or what they lost, or where they missed out or misstepped, especially through the jaded perspective that they have now. Because until someone's willing to really look at it through a lens of truth, it's just going to feel like, re-inflicting that wound all over again. That hurt, that pain that they don't really know how to place, because it may feel foreign for someone to really address their emotional void. They're used to masking it and filling it with material things, with tangible things, with things that can be spent and accounted for. But to actually have to take inventory in such a way that, you have to actually consider yourself, your true self, that's going to be like a torture chamber for someone for a little while, with all types of bouts of denial, and then swinging back to sadness and regret and remorse, and then anger, and then jealousy, and then rage, and then confusion, and it's going to be a range of emotions, providing that someone actually has a soul, and their spirit is somewhat intact. Otherwise, who knows? Like I said, ain't no telling how they're going to respond to what they're feeling, because they don't really want to deal with what they're feeling. They've never really had to. They left that to the women in their lives. In their life. They was bringing home the bacon so she could fry it up in the pan, and they have no dealings in too much emotional stuff. But now someone is like really being faced to I'll say they're being invited to dig deep. But once again, this is still Pentacles. So they already starting off digging in the wrong place. If they're still trying to observe the surface level of where they might have gone wrong, they got quite a few more layers to go to get to the truth of themselves. All the while, the replay of this great loss will be in the background. So that's a tough spot to be in. And in the forefront as well, because like I said, you're watching somebody move on effortlessly to some degree. Oh, Eight of Swords, that's the prison, the mental prison. Yeah, that somebody is really like going to have to pull themselves out of. And that they never expected. That this Eight of Swords is like a spirit of disempowerment that, like I said, they always thought would be what someone else might feel as a result of their absence or disconnection or breakup or whatever. Like, you need me type of energy. I'm the best you got, or I'm the best you're going to do, or whatever they thought. They expected this to be 2 o'clock on the dot, just lit up on the phone. They expected this to be the constant in someone's life that would ultimately bring them to their realization to either come back or just live in misery for the rest of their lives, or in denial, but without their presence. But lo and behold, that is not what they're witnessing. And here it is, that Uno reverse. Now, what they had projected towards someone else and something else is what they are finding it hard to avoid. And it's going to be virtually impossible to avoid without them having to do something productive. In response. Yeah. And like I said, it's going to be a long way before they work that out. They had the support system to do so before, because the love that they had, that compassion, that unconditional affect, little did they realize, gave them the space and the resource even to heal on sight, to heal in the connection. But they chose otherwise, or they saw value in other things. And now with less support, the stakes are that much higher to still have the same effect for survival's sake, perhaps, and also certainly to evolve in any creative way, that is sustainable. So, like I said, with very little, much less support and resource to do so, it's a tall order. And somebody's really going to have to dig their heels in against the odds that are stacked against them to just pretty much resolve to stay the same because it's comfortable. But one thing's for sure, the phenomenon or anomaly of sorts that occurred when they were given the privilege to stay the same and still have the presence of such high quality love in their life, that that season will never be duplicated again. The only way that someone will achieve a love of that level and of that measure again is if they become it themselves. And again, that's a tall order for someone that never had any interest in that. May not even feel capable of that. They can make some money. They can secure a high level position. They can get hella degrees. They can, you know, show all the bells and whistles of prominence and success and all of that, but loving themselves, that's literally like going back to square one. That's what that is. Got it. Well, good luck and Godspeed. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, as always, I leave you with peace.